Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Can you go now?
Dear Lord,
thank Tumwesigye his family. Thank you for your love, grace, and mercy. Thank you for your presence in our family, which brings us hope
and joy. Thank you for being good at all times, in bad and good times. Thank you for helping us grow in trust through difficult times. We give you all honor, glory, and praise. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for your sustaining presence in our family and country.
Now just some, you don't have to speak to those you have little microphones and read on your own. You are praying for him. Thanking God for him. No?
Father, today we want to thank you for sustaining our dad, Jotham, for giving him wisdom, protection, and favor, and in a special way, we thank you for giving him time, intellectual capital, financial capital, and social capital that supported him to write and publish a book reflecting his legacy, a legacy of purpose and national devotion.
Until now, I want Jotham to crown it all.
Finally, like King David humbled himself before the Lord, in 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 18. Who am I, sovereign Lord, and what is my family, that you have brought us this far? Thank you, Lord, for using me to share my wisdom with others.
Amen. And all of you, amen.
Okay, allow me to recognize protocol. The Chief Justice, who is our guest of honor, the author and his family, the former Prime Minister of Uganda, judges of the Supreme Court, judges of the Court of Appeal and the Constitutional Court, members of Parliament, senior magistrates and other judicial officers across the judiciary, senior lawyers including leaders of the bar and notable practitioners, representatives from State House, religious leaders across all denominations, foreign diplomats and heads of international missions, business leaders and captains of industry. You are very welcome once again. We will not tire for welcoming you, because when you read the Bible, they say there was a man who called a feast and then tried to look out for people to come and eat it, and they were nowhere. So when Justice sends out an invite and people show up on time, we really, really appreciate you. So with that said, I'd like to invite the publisher to come and give us his remarks. Please, a round of applause for Frank as he comes to give us his remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Solomon. My name is Frank Gamshenga, the publisher, and in the interest of time, it allowed me to utilize the protocol observed, but I would like to acknowledge the presence of our chief guest and the author in the house and the family for honoring us as publishers
with the privilege of supporting them to write their book. We have a book to celebrate today, and so at TFK Luminary, for the last 10 years, we've gone through a number of stories published in this country. Many have touched lives tremendously. We have, I would have wanted to mention so many, but I would mention a few. We've had, we've published General Katumba Mala's book, Endurance. We've published The Touch of Humility by the Deputy IGG, Patricia Chan. And most recently, one interesting that touches this function is one titled Rebellious Hope, Crushed, Broken but not crushed. And this is one that will form a precursor for our celebration today. Justice Jotham happened to be in that audience when we were launching Jenny Kaberuka's book, Rebellious Hope, and he was quick to pick the inspiration, and there we caught up together, and here we are celebrating a book, My Life Through Changing Times, a legacy of purpose and national devotion. A round of applause to Justice Jotham Tumwesigye, and also I would like also to appreciate the family. This has been a journey not just for the two of us, him and the publishers. The family has been greatly involved in every bit, and so we are so honored as publishers to be able to present this book today. Ladies and gentlemen, publishing is probably the most profound form of rebirth, and I would want to call it a literary rebirth for any man, because it allows you to define or to determine how you want to be introduced or remembered by the world. And so Justice Jotham has just done that and gathered his full circle of life and gathered it with us from the time of his ancestors, because he talks so much about his cultural setting, the forefathers, and moves on and gathers every nugget sparkling with transformational information and puts it together into a book for the benefit of generations to come, today and tomorrow. Another round of applause for the courage, the sacrifice, the resources invested to make sure that this book sees the light of day. So we are so grateful that we have added this story today. Now, in the realm of the East African revival, which is a chapter in the book, one that he says paved way for his education, I'm reminded of Psalm 90, Psalms 90, verse 12. It says, "Teach us to number our days aright, that we may gain a heart of wisdom." Now, gaining a heart of wisdom takes some work. And some of the works that need to be done is for us to find a book and read it. Because these books, a good book, carries knowledge. And so, while we seek to gain the heart of wisdom, we have a book to celebrate that is laden with wisdom. Justice Jotham Tumwesigye's mission, it was not just to print this book. It was to make sure that it is seen in the hands of thousands, where it is read, it is shared, and understood to the depth of what is delivered. And so for that marks the entire mission of the cause. And that forms the core cause for this book, that it is read as widely as possible and as affordable as possible. And so where you're seated, you will also find a thank you note, which has got a provision for you to say, I will commit to this cause, to make sure this book is read as widely as possible and as affordably as possible to the young youth who may not afford the 100,000. And so you're free to make that commitment, and at some point the MC will usher us into receiving them, and will be happy. Every support matters to make sure this cause achieves the purpose. Ladies and gentlemen, this book will be available to you in a restock, in Uganda Bookshop, online, and many other places that we will get to inform you about. But when you are here, be sure to get this book, because when it crosses, it might be at a different price. But we are very, very grateful to you, our distinguished guests in the house. Enjoy your moment here. It's It's going to be a very highly transformational moment as we celebrate together with Justice Jotham Tumwesigye releasing his book, My Life Through Changing Times, Legacy of Purpose, National Devotion. May the Lord bless you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I will not be repeating the protocol because it's very elaborate and everybody here is very highly dignified. So I'll go straight to what I've been asked to do, which is give a brief review. I hope brief enough to attract your interest in this book, and also to assure you that it's an assured review because I've actually read the book. I was privileged. My Lord, our author, Justice Jotham Tumwesigye, to receive it on Friday, and it was very good weekend reading. It was a weekend well spent. My family will be contacting you about not having seen me because I was buried in this. It's said that a good book should evoke 4 conversations. A conversation between the author and the reader, a conversation between the reader and characters, if it's a fiction book, or the reader and the subjects of the book, if it's non-fiction, a conversation between the reader and society, because a good book should shine a light on society and get the reader to contemplate what is, what ought to be, what could be, and perhaps what is lacking. And fourthly, a conversation between the reader and himself. A good book should be a mirror that causes you to pause and reflect on what it is that you learned, what it is that you could have done differently, or what you should be doing differently. I used this canvas in the review of this book, and keeping with the words of Steve Covey, starting with the end in mind, I'd like to say this is a very good book. A very good book because it does all 4 things. In Justice Tumwesigye's words, this book does not just comprise personal memories. In his introduction, he tells us that this book is actually, I'd like to read the words themselves, the events I recount are not just personal memories. They're pieces of Uganda's story, fragments of a nation's struggle for freedom, dignity, and justice in times of wanton killings and destruction. So Justice Tumwesigye, in writing this book, tells us his story, but actually already is asking us to do one of the things that I've told you we should do, to consider our society, to consider what's been happening. He has an eye to history, not just as it has affected him, but as it has affected others, and what his role has been in trying to fix that trajectory as he saw it go wrong at various junctions in his life. Justice Tumwesigye walks us through a journey of his life, starting with his roots in Nkole, the origin and the value of clans, and his clan having to learn of the Bashambo, and I understand a sub-branch of the Bashambo are the Ranzira, which is the clan into which I married, so I think Justice Jotham archive between the father of a very good friend of mine and my father. And they were talking about the 1966 crisis at a time when myself and that particular friend had been talking about something very similar that was going on. I was 9. A question of how long shall we be stuck in this cycle, which his own aspect has been in having found himself in those circumstances, not simply putting his hand up in the air and saying what's to be done. He actually did something. And having solved those issues in the Constitution, we built the constitutionalism that the constitutional makers hoped we would, so that this would be the constitution that takes Uganda to where we want it to be. But we thank you for giving us an opportunity to see things from your own perspective, how you've lived by those principles, what they were and what the challenges were, as you went along. And rather ironically, I don't know whether, my Lord, you had considered this, but on page 5 of this book, for those who bought it, he puts the totem of his clan, Rasham, which is in Shihirira, partly burnt. Right? Am I pronouncing that correctly? Partly burnt wood. And I thought, ironically, it was actually a very good metaphor of what exactly Justice Tumwesigye comes out as having been. A man of principle, seared by fire, but not burnt to a cinder. He is there. He's a Shihirira. He has written a book which can help us understand how to survive bad leadership, how to engage the challenges of corruption, how to build when everything has been torn down, how to remain principled even when the shortcuts or lack of principle seem to be more attractive. So it leaves us with a great conclusion, as I said earlier. So this is a very...
Another round of applause for Weshiga. Of course, it had to be such a learned individual to give such a great review. And so we thank you. Challenges he has highlighted to all of us. You know, sometimes I've always said that we always wait for eulogies and burials to start hearing some good words. But when you see somebody write a book and start telling us the things they have done, what they've gone through, but also having other people to testify and affirm what they have done and what they're saying, is such a great legacy. So as Weshiga has challenged us, what are you doing and what can you do wherever you are? It doesn't matter how small you think you are, you never know what life you might be changing. And so let's go and act in every environment where we are placed. So I would like us to move on with our program. And this is the time when we'll have a panel discussion. And I will invite Frank to come and lead us through that. And invite the family members to come forward and take us through this next part of the program. Thank you very much.
A few minutes here are going to give us an insight into the family on what the children are going to say about Justice Jotham. And so I think I'll move to start with the gentleman in the house to pave the way for the ladies. Yeah. I hope I'm not pushing you, Andrew. But we have a question for you to start with. And this is from your perspective. How did your father express his love to you, including your mother, in light of the busy schedules and busy world of service that has always taken him up?
All right. Thank you, Frank. I'm Andrew. I'm the one who's contacting most of you.
Yeah.
So, I'm the second one. I essentially thought we would go first. What Daddy, when I was growing up, actually I sort of remember him being busiest when he was the Deputy National Political Commissar.
Okay.
And when he was IDG, I don't remember him being that busy. When he was in the Supreme Court, I remember him being busy during those, I think they're called presidential petitions or something.
Okay.
But then I believe he was busy. He was just intentional about making us not realize. Because you know, sometimes when someone brings his stress at home,
Yeah.
because being busy also comes with stress. I know that because and unfortunately, when I have it, I release it for the rest. Not intentionally, but that's the effect of stress. But Daddy, for those who know Daddy is very calm. And that's why he makes a very good judge. He's very calm. even when you do something bad, which I have done a couple of, he's not very quick to explode.
Okay.
So there are a couple of things he did. For starters, growing up, he used to teach us how to write. He would take time to teach us how to write. Unfortunately, we learned how to write. I think I'm proud to say I write really well thanks to him. He would teach us French. I don't know how he learned French, and he has a very good memory. I think he learned it in Italian. Teach us French, but that one refused. I don't think we learned French. It was a bit difficult. He would teach us things like the table is on the pen is on the table, the cup is on the table. Repeat after me. He would take us out on Sunday to watch Dere Troop. Now, mind you, he's probably dealing with a lot. Now, I later got to discover, mostly from the book, especially the job of the IGG was journalism. But imagine you discovering this much later.
Right.
So this person did not show you all that. Instead, he was intentional about being, making sure you learn. And he has made sure I do the same with my children. He keeps telling me, I hope you're there. Are you teaching your kids what to do, what not to do? So, if that answers your question.
It does. A round of applause to Justice Jotham for doing it that way, and also for the children who actually moved on and supported him in his busiest times. Now, I'll move to my closest neighbor, Stella. What does the writing and publishing of this book, My Life Through Changing Times, mean to you as Stella and with your siblings?
I'm Stella, the last born, and being here today I think is a success story for the whole family, because it has been a journey, walking it with Daddy. He brought us in along the way, and he held us accountable for each step of the way. So first and foremost, being here, this launch is a big step. So congratulations, Daddy. We're finally here, we made it, and thank you so much everyone for being here with us today. So what this means for us, what the book means for us, or for me it's, like I said, first of all, gratitude, but we've always been in awe of Daddy. As his children, he's the best example we could have had growing up, and we did need someone to tell us. But seeing it now in writing, seeing his story, from where he has come to where he is, we've got the context of why he is who he is. It's so enlightening to see the role his parents played in his life. It's enlightening to see why he makes the choices he made, why he made those decisions that he made. It has given us that context of, okay, this is why we are where we are. This journey has been coming all the way to here. It's not by mistake, and now it's in writing, we can see it. So it is not only his story, but it has also shown us our roots as the children. It's his legacy, it's our roots. We understand where we are from, and we are proud of it, more proud than before.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Now to you, Nuno. What aspect of your father's character do you see, you feel is best captured in this autobiography?
Thank you, Frank. My government name is Tumwesigye, but everyone calls me Nuno.
Right.
And as I grow older, I actually prefer to be called Nuno. So my father's character, of course, to us, let me speak for myself. Growing up, I felt my dad was next to God. If you had asked me this question a few years back, I wouldn't know what to say, because I felt it was bigger than anything. But in the book, maybe my response is similar to Andrew. I'll point my father's devotion or commitment to his family, and not just to us, his parents, his brothers. brothers, his sisters. He has such a commitment. He's very intentional about keeping them close, keeping together, and in the book you will see that even when he got an allowance at university, he prioritized his siblings and he sent the money to his father. I have fond memories when we were younger. There was a lot of load shedding. So of course when the power would go off, there's nothing like inverters and things like that. We just had lanterns and we would all sit in the sitting room and he would make us sing. So someone would teach a song. If the power goes off the next time, which was of course frequent, then another person teaches the song. And if it wasn't singing, then they were telling us stories of growing up, which sounded very absurd, like how do you walk all those kilometers barefoot? We thought they were making things up. But all these things brought us together. It was intentional. Now I see it. We could have stayed in our rooms and slept in the darkness. And like Andrew said, he made sure we learned how to read, how to write. I think I was telling Mr. Mpanga that when we came to Uganda, we didn't know much English, Andrew and myself. So we struggled in school, but he made sure that he taught us very calmly, but very persistently.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Daddy loves money so much. And of course vice versa, but I'm being honest, because you could say I'm not just to say. No,
Yes.
I sometimes think they were lucky to meet each other, because it could have gone differently.
Right.
If you read the book, you'll see how it could have easily gone differently. But he loves her so much, and growing up, and I'm being honest, I never saw him shout at her. There'd be the small occasional arguments about lost socks, but I mean that happens. I can see my tie, and he moves on. No holding a grudge. He moves on. So, and it's two-way. I'm not saying it's only one way. It's two-way.
Right.
Another thing, and I think I said this at my wedding, they sit down and read books together. They have, Daddy reads many different books, mostly histories, political, biographies. Mom is going to, what is it, Joel Osborne, those spiritual, Joel Austin, but they read together and they even loop us in. They've made us read books, especially me, because I was never so much a reader. So they give me books and say, read this Emotional Intelligence. Read this Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. But you see the habit, it's from them. They walk together, not even in old age, they walk together. And then another thing is, Daddy was never the kind of person, from work, straight home.
Right.
He would be there, I think, even like at 4:30. Home. The habit now is, you first want to go somewhere, sit, just relax before you get home. Direct home, lunch. So he would come home, I think, he leaves, comes back for lunch. Probably he wanted to see mommy everywhere. But he loves her so much. She's his heart. And it's the other way around. Usually women are more expressive than men. Men we tend to hold it in. But he shows it to her, and we pick. And I'm proud to say that I have picked. I've not picked 100%, but I have picked. I do the same with my wife. I don't read with her, but we cook together. I'm a very good cook. We walk together, although she doesn't like walking a lot, but we walk together, and I'm trying to put her into the habit of doing that.
Right.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And for the fathers and the wives around, as much as we know that managing a family has no formula, we really have a thing or two to try out to see whether it works or not. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, I'll get back to you, Stella. Already a lot has been said about Daddy's character, but we want to see what are those what values that has your dad emphasized over the time and through your upbringing, and how you see them affect your adult life.
Okay, thanks, Frank.
You're welcome.
The values, I think first and foremost, like David already mentioned, he's principled. Daddy has been principled from day one, and he does not have to tell us because he lives it. He has lived it in the public and he has lived it at home. So you see it in terms of how family he holds, what he believes in, he believes in. If he believes in something, he believes in something. And it's easier to follow or to be led by someone like that. He also, something that he does is he defends. He defends you. If there's an argument and that he feels someone's being attacked, he'll stand up for you. Say, no. But in equal measure, should he be the one on you, you should be assured that that argument will go on and on. We are 3 lawyers in the house, as Mommy likes to say, lawyers. So that's something that you will see often. He's also quite liberal-minded. When I think back, times of school, and I've seen it interestingly in the book, it has been a bit enlightening, but I would come back and maybe he asks, so what did you get in math? Or maybe I say, actually, you're reporting yourself and saying, no, I got a 9. I got a 9 in math. And he says, okay, yeah, but did you play tennis? I'm like, okay, yeah, I played tennis. Or maybe I didn't play as much. And he says, how could you not? And that's where the lecture is. So he's very open-minded. With him, I got to learn the piano, I got to learn French. I mean, he wasn't telling me, you must study, you must do this. He was more open-minded, and I think that trickled through. Very generous at heart, always giving to people, giving to us. That has come through. And I can say even that the liberal-mindedness came when I was thinking of what to pursue at university. I asked him. And I asked him thinking, what else is he going to say? Because at that time, I'd done law, he's done law. But I said, I don't know what I should do. What do you think I should do? And surprisingly, he said, I don't know. I don't know what you should do. Do what you want to do. But that's Daddy. He's not going to impose something on you. He wants you to think for yourself, of course, reasonably, to think for yourself. And thankfully, perhaps because of not exerting pressure, in the end, that's what I decided to pursue. So how it has translated to me in adult life, the principles that he has set on us, I think because of him being principled, I'd like to believe I am as well. And I also believe in standing for what I believe in now, just as he has, standing for what I believe in, and also in a way finding myself defending people who I feel may be attacked. I'll speak for Nunu that she does the same. She does the same. I don't think it comes from nowhere. It definitely comes from me.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for this together. And as we draw to the conclusion, getting back to you, Nunu, and would like us find out what aspects, what part of your father's legacy do you hope the future generations will remember the most?
Thank you. So while he was writing the book and we were helping and maybe editing, I remember at some point he asked us, what should I title the book?
Yeah.
And my suggestion was From Castle to the Supreme Court. Because I wanted, just from the title, people to know how far he's come from, and that he was able to reach the highest office in his career. It was rejected, but still, the flesh of the book will still show how hardworking he is. That is a legacy I would want a future generation to take. It's so funny that most of my friends call me privileged. They say, you're from a privileged family. But when I read this book, and I was like, oh my God, my father was so poor. And now I know that my father and mother, they came from so little, but they worked so hard so that they could give us everything, but that we could have the title of being privileged.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, now as we conclude, I'm sure this book has gone through your hands and each of you must have picked whether a paragraph or a chapter that would say, this is my best. So, just give us your takeaway from end of the part, starting with Andrew, and we conclude this.
Okay, mine is the exile part. When you read about how he had to flee from Uganda as a UPM supporter, because I think they were being hunted, and they had to flee under an alias. I mean, for Daddy to come up with an alias, Daddy who hates lying, it means he knew he was going to be killed. I'll not say the alias, you read and see yourselves. And then, going to Nairobi with nothing. He's young, he has a young family. I think I'm maybe 1 year old. No, maybe 2, I'm not sure. This one was just born. And he gets a job, again, thanks to his brain. God gave him a brain. So he gets a job as a lecturer. I think it's in the Kenya Institute of Administration, I think. Yeah. And the pay was little, but somehow he was able to make ends meet with that little. And then he stayed at Uncle Eli. I didn't know that about Uncle Eli, and it made me appreciate him much more. And Uncle James by Hinduza Let. He stayed there. I think they helped him when he was looking for a job and stuff. Yeah. Then he got another job in Mombasa with a sister institute called, I think, Government Institute of something, still teaching law. And the pay was better, so life started to get a bit better, But still, you could see that life as an exile wasn't easy. And I believe that's what built the fire in him. Because his colleagues were getting promoted, being sent for training, he was stagnant. Because he's a foreigner. But what could he do, right? So there's a part I just want to read. It's very brief, don't worry. Okay. It says, I was ready to go back. That's when the war had ended here. I was ready to go back. Not just to a country, but to my true calling and to a future I'd never stop believing in. All right. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Stella, what's your takeaway from this book?
My takeaway, what I found, first of all, the book is very interesting. I can't wait for all of you to read it. But what I found, one of the things I found interesting was how transformative the East African revival was to his family.
Yeah.
Because, ordinarily I'd say, colonialism, etc. The bad things about it. But then I thought, so you're saying that if these people hadn't come, his parents would probably never have taken him to school, and the rest would be history. But because they came, his parents then became Balokole. And against all odds of poverty, and it's interesting because then I guess that's where Daddy gets his firm beliefs, because they too were strong-minded.
Yeah.
They believed in what they believed, and if they had to educate their children, they had to educate their children. Whether his father had to go, because thankfully he was a clergy member, is it a clergy member? Anyway, he was a man of the church. And so people were willing to listen to him and lend him money. But imagine you don't have money, but you're looking for money to educate, because you just believe in it. Probably he didn't understand why as a man in the village, but he did it. So to think that is where his turning point was is very interesting, and I think that's why I see that he's really emphasizes education for us. You go, it's okay, I'll pay, you do it, you do that. It was nice to see just how transformative that was, because from there you'll see in the book that he then went to school, then he went to Ntare, and I saw how profound an impact Ntare had on him. That's where I think his political mindset came in, and suddenly he was now thinking much wider than just his home. He was thinking nationwide. He was thinking, where is the nation going? What's my principle? Where are we going? Who do I want to be affiliated with? What do we stand for? And suddenly that is now taking shape, even as his family life is happening, and as life is happening, it still kept bringing him back. Even in exile, he's saying, I want to see what happens after. I want to be there. I want to be there to celebrate what we have fought for. So it's, for me, seeing the impact of that East African revival, but of course also on his parents. And that's why throughout the book, his acknowledgement of them is not, you can't ignore it.
Thank you. Yes, no, you can close us off.
Okay.
What is your part?
Yes, thank you, Frank. I'll talk about the preparation, first of all. Just getting this book to today.
Yeah.
It was a lot of work, especially the last lap. And I want to thank you, Frank, for your patience with us. I know we kept making corrections after corrections. So thank you so much for tolerating us. So for the book, mine is Wiley Tare. He wrote a book by the late President Julius Nyerere that just changed the trajectory of his life. And the book, if I can recollect, said education should not be used just for your personal development. It must also be used for service to your country. I don't know why he didn't tell us this when we were growing up, but I just thought it was and it touched me very much. And I thought that was true purpose, to have something that is bigger than you, to serve something that is bigger than you. And I can't imagine something bigger than your country. So personally, that is something I'm going to try and emulate. I always thought there were just certain people who are cut out to serve the country, then the rest of us will do other things. But now I feel like it's a duty for each and every one of us to serve our country.
Thank you. That sums our conversation very well. Thank you very much for the time. And dear ladies and gentlemen, this has been Voices from the Family about the author. Let's give them a round of applause as they resume the seats. Thank you. God bless you.
There were moments that tested him, learned more, so that the day he lost an entire draft, he was with Stella, and all he did was to blame her, but I think it was for both of them. I still remember the silence that followed that in the house when it happened, the weight of that discouragement. But if you know my husband, you know he's a determined person. After a pause, to gather himself, and with some encouragement from me, he started writing again. And this time, he saw it through the end. Our children have been part of this journey too, offering encouragement and understanding. When it was just 1 hour, and the desk came free. Thank you so much, Frank Akshenga. It was a long war, a long journey, but I thank you so much because I know my husband is a perfectionist, and you have all been patient and partners in this process. That is including our children. Thank God he has finished it at last. Really made me so happy because it was something that was hanging on his head. And he really wanted it done. And I was always telling him that it will be done. And the Lord has done it. It is done. We really thank God for his goodness to us, for the strength, for the resilience, and the opportunity to share this story with the world. Although his name is on the cover, this is not just his book. It is our story. Our lives have been intertwined through every chapter, from going into exile together to the world of politics, to his years as the IGG, as Supreme Court judge. What he suffered, I suffered. What he enjoyed, I enjoyed. For example, one day when he was IGG, on his way home, he was carjacked by 2 armed men who summoned his bodyguard, but luckily he walked unharmed. It was just about 500 meters away from home, and I saw him coming back, shaken, because he told me all the way he felt like there was a gun coming to him. A bullet, sorry. But thank God he was protected. Even in the judiciary, where there were no great hassles, there were still long nights, reading books, very big books, and preparing judgments. So I was telling Lulu that I don't think Jotham left any judgment pending. And she said, what if he did? But I don't think he did. He really best to make sure that all judgments that were pending, we brought them before the Supreme Court. If there is anyone who has something to say, he can say it, but I believe he did it. And then came retirement, our sweetest chapter yet. We have had time together to walk those morning walks together, to go to the gym, to exercise side by side. He even made me love sports, watching sports on the TV, like tennis and golf. Now I know all the players, I know their names, I know the rules. Those who play golf, those who play tennis. When he's with Patrick and Grace who play tennis, golf, and they are talking about it, I join them like I play them. They yet I don't. But he has made me get interested in them. To everyone here this afternoon or this evening, thank you so much for coming. We don't take it for granted. Many of you have walked with us along this journey, making it easier for adventurers and worth telling a story about. Some of you will even find yourselves mentioned in the pages of this book. whether your role was right or wrong, know that you have helped shape this story in one way or another. So as we launch this autobiography, I hope you read it not just as the story of one man, but as the story of all people, places, and moments that made him who he is. That's why I just stop and say the steadfast of the Lord. The steadfast of love never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning, new every evening. Great is your faithfulness, O Lord. The Lord has brought us this far. That's why I can stand and say, Ebenezer. You have said you have heard from Castle wearing a long t-shirt without anything under. And now here he is wearing a suit. The Lord is good. And all the time. Thank you for being here to celebrate this book. We are going to launch with us. May the good Lord bless you all. We love you. Thank you so much.
The Justice Jotham has quite a number of friends, and there are those who have been requested to come and give a word or two. And allow me to put a disclaimer that each one of you is allotted 5 minutes. I would kindly request that you use the allotted time very well. And we'll start with Ambassador Olaro Tunu, who will come and give us a few remarks in the allotted 5 minutes. Ambassador, you're very welcome.
My Lord the Chief Justice, my Lord the Deputy Chief Justice, my Lord the Deputy Chief Justice Emeritus, Justice Jotham Tumwesigye and family, my Lord, honorable ministers, all you very eminent persons gathered here, I greet you and I honor you. Many, many moons ago, we were together at Makerere, and the students at Makerere entrusted the leadership of the guild to one Olara. And Olara promptly appointed one Jotham Tumwesigye to be the guild vice president. But you know, in reality, very quick order, Jotham Tumwesigye became the co-guild president. Let me tell you why. This man, my brother Jotham, is as solid as they come. More solid than him you will not find. I leaned on him. I relied on him. There was never any decision we would make without his say-so. And in fact, if his view and mine differed, I went with his because I trusted his judgment more than mine. I don't mean this our day-to-day platitude. I mean, he is the genuine article. This man is the genuine article. Jotham Tumwesigye has a compass, a moral compass. I recall so very well we would be in discussions, and what Jotham would always ask is, but what values, what principle, what are we defending, protecting, or promoting by this decision? That's Jotham Tumwesigye. So brilliant of intellect, great analyst, and wrote beautifully, and captain with a great sense of humor. He was in our inner cabinet. Joe Bosa, who prosecuted Africa policy, Alfred Ogada from Kenya, who was Minister of Finance, Wakasongola from Tanzania, and others who I cannot mention here. It was, I must say, the cream of the African youth. It was the cream of the African youth. We were privileged, Jotham and I, to lead them. Even our little class, when we say class, our little class, in retrospect, it was worth writing home about that class. My brother Jotham is a very, very special person. I am very proud of him and his contribution to our country. And I know our entire group is very proud of you, Jotham. And I just want to say,
praise the Lord. Amen. Of course, this is a day really for praising the Lord. You know, I'm one of those people. I think the first Ugandans who wrote autobiographies for themselves, because mine was published in 2002, the first one. This other one is another one. So I want to thank God because many Ugandans now are writing their stories. And whenever it comes, I read it. And before I go to Yotham's talk, I want to say from Yotham's book and all these other, the Catholic, Justice Jotham, when you read those books and you see the principles in there, one thing I have found that is in common, being born poor there in those local places until when we found ourselves, yes, in NRM, I mean the NRM W1, called the National Resistance Movement, the first Museveni government, that wonderful place. He was the legal advisor, but then there we were not connecting much. But when we appointed the Uganda Constitutional Commission, then we became so close and we were working together. We used to travel around together. And of course, Rose is my woga, we are Nyanji girls. So we became real friends and connected. That's Jotham. And he doesn't want, what is it? Conflict. For him, when he wants to fight, he's fighting inside quietly by doing what is right. But for us, while we do what is right, we want to say, you also, what are you doing? Do what is right. We are made different. That's why I was admiring. I wish I could also be calm and quiet like him. But that's not what God made me to be. I remember one time I told him he's as much of a lawyer as myself. So that evening, they are about to get me off. That evening, you know, we worked together for so long. That evening, we were arguing about one point, that the movement system is the only viable system to run in this country. And I said, no, it cannot be the only one. There are many other systems and other people don't want, other people had gone around and see what the people were saying. And we debated, and Jotham was sitting there. He was not talking. But me and Baba, we say, until the president said, let's ask Jotham, what are you saying? Jotham said, Matembe is right. I laughed at that. And the president said, this woman tonight she will sleep. But he really quietly said, I am right. And therefore we had to say other political systems and multi-parties. Then we go, after the constitution is appointed the IGG. He had worked, I think, for first term, I don't know when it had ended. Then I was appointed the Minister for Ethics and Integrity. And so, I want to say that I'm so happy, I'm so excited that Jotham, you have written down your autobiography and they will know your story. Your integrity, your honesty, your commitment to your nation. Central to Jotham's heart and work is serving God and serving the people. The only thing I will say, Jotham, even the other day I asked him, have you accepted Jesus Christ? Every time we meet, he is such a godly man. But then I asked him, I don't know how I was saved. He said, he laughs. I said, Jotham. Even the other time I said, now Jotham, what are you waiting for? You declare get saved. So I want to believe that you are saved because the word of God says those who believe and say it with their mouth, you tell your wife. And tell us if you have not had the children, then we shall say yes, he has received the Lord. I wish you all the best. I will always love you and your children and close. And I want to wish Ugandans, you Ugandans, and yes, no sha. These were the things and nothing. Right now I've seen so many dying, and they leave them and they put them in just like a square like this. And when they go, the children fight for the property. Please, let us focus on God. Let us focus on serving God, serving His people, like our motto says, and then God will remember us and pick us from all these things and take us the right direction so that one day we may cross over to Canaan. When shall we cross? Thank you very much.
Honorable Chief Justice, Honorable Jotham and Rose, my daughter, and all people here in your respective status. This is not just a function to enjoy ourselves. This is a function to show the evidence of a very, very reliable person. They have not invited me here. Jotham told me I'm going to speak. I said, speak what? Because I have been with Jotham for many years, even during the most difficult times. I would bring the whole family together, even when we are not earning a lot of money, and we would share the little we had. I'm talking about the time in Nairobi. And even after, when I was number 2 on the list of people to kill, and I was forced to go out of Nairobi, and I chose Canada, we still remained in contact. Like I remained with another friend in America, whose name I won't mention, until we came back. And even when he was IGG, when he was in the Supreme Court, we kept talking on issues which are very, very serious. But we did not want to popularize ourselves and go to the press in order to show that we don't agree with this and that. I can tell you this is not small evidence about the best way to live in the world. Not just in Uganda here alone. I think people should learn from this kind of situation, and then even if they have made mistakes, they should correct the mistakes they have made by actually adopting humility, because they have said you are dressing maybe not a trouser up to
up to now when you are Supreme Court judge. So humility is a must. Secondly, telling the truth. Like my sister Maria was talking about. Telling the truth is only done, and I used to say it myself in cabinet even. Although I was not a member of cabinet, but I was appointed as a member of cabinet representing parliament by parliament itself. Because they would fear, and I would tell the group, I don't fear telling the truth because the people you love most is the one you tell the truth without malice. So continue this life so that the young generation can learn, and then we leave this life behind us indefinitely. Thank you very much indeed for inviting me to be part of this family group. But I challenge the children to make sure that this phase and the next one involving Stella, we should come and bring it together, even if you don't invite these people in order to show themselves here. Again, thank you so much.
I am loving the discipline that these people who are coming here are having. Very disciplined, following instructions. I appreciate you very much. And so I would like to invite Frank again to come up here and take us through a few more minutes of a conversation of Justice Jotham's friends and other friends. You might ask me how about this was I've just spoken. More friends that are going to come here, and Frank will be moderating that section of the conversation to get more insight, to get more appreciation of who our author is. As you can see, he has had a lot of influence and impact on many of us, on many people. Personally, I grew up reading about him, and I'm like, which kind of person is this? I mean, maybe someday I want to be like him. Like the news saying says, when I grow up, I would like to be, a bit like him. But today I'm really encouraged that he's here and I'm moderating his wonderful book. So, Frank, please take us away with the next conversation. Thank you.
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, before us are friends to Justice Jotham Tumwesigye, and I think I'll start with the Honorable John Nasasira. As a neighbor in Kampala, and especially in Council, you must see each other outside the corridors of service. And those small, one would say small interactions that would show the humility of Justice Jotham Tumwesigye from your interaction at that level. Let us in what are those some of those interactions, seemingly small, but speaking volumes of the humility of the person we are celebrating today.
Thank you, Shega. When I was asked to be part of the panel, I was told protocol is not part of our business. But I would say, first of all, as Chief Justice, and the author, Justice Jotham Tumwesigye, and your family, and the rest distinguished guests who are here. But I was also told that we have 6 minutes. I think I've reached one. How do you expect me to talk about somebody I've known for 60 years in 6 minutes? But I will try.
Thank you.
Since you are specifying one area.
Yes.
I've known Jotham since 1965. I was in primary 7 in Kazo when his family moved to Kazo. His father was working with the church. And he was at that time in senior 2 at Ontario. And as you heard, I was in P7.
1 year later, I went to P8. And we are all aspiring to go to Thailand. You forget what David said about to Thailand. There we had our share and we have made our point. Right. So we are all aspiring to go to Thailand. And luckily, I qualified to go to Thailand and I found him there in Senior 4 when I was in Senior 1. And as he said, his brother here was in Senior 2. So we have known each other that long. He was a humble, quiet, decent gentleman. It's not a gentleman, gentle student.
Right.
And he went on from Senior 6 until he went to Makerere. I also went through Tare and went to University of Nairobi. And we didn't touch base. But came back briefly to Uganda. I'm trying to be fast.
Yep.
And then later we met in Nairobi when we were in the external committee. When he was in Mombasa. And then we came back, 86. In 88, the National Resistance Council was supposed to be expanded.
Right.
And every county had to get somebody elected. A group of opinion leaders from Kazo were consulting the people they thought were credible candidates. And fortunately, I was one of those consultants. But I told them I will not say yes or no until I have consulted Jotham. Because I knew he was a senior in politics at that time.
Right.
And he had been in the National Consultative Council during Lule, Laisa time. So I went there and said, they are asking me to go. Have they asked you yet? They are asking whether I can go and permanently. Council talked about those leaders. But I think you should go because you are more senior to me. You have been there before. He says, no, I don't want to go. You go and I will support you.
Right.
And I accepted, and he supported me all my 27 years in Parliament. Both in advice and direction and consultations, and even supporting projects there. And the same Jotham I saw in 65 was the same Jotham I saw today, was the same Jotham. At that time, he was the Director of Legal Affairs at the Home Secretary. And he continued. We have had the road. Yeah. The whole road all the way to the Supreme Court.
Maybe hold it there, sir.
No, I just wanted to complete it.
Okay.
And the IGG. But all those stages, Jotham's humility is exceptional.
Right.
His level of integrity is unmatched. But I also want to end with this.
Yeah.
He is ideologically deep and he's serious, he's very political.
Okay.
But my conclusion was that much as he's political and ideologically deep, he's not a politician. I hope I'll be understood. Because as you understand, politicians when they are campaigning, like an example in Asia, there is a politician who went to a rally and he said, I will build you a bridge, I will build you a bridge. And they said, but there is no river here. He said, I will bring you a river as well. Now, Jotham is not the kind of person who can make such a promise.
A round of applause, thank you so much. Yes, now I'll go to you, Mr. Katemwe. You go back with Jotham, way back to Nyakajeme, when you lived together as young boys. What memories do you have that, and what picture would you paint that would bring back to us that childhood personality as far as you can recollect?
Yeah, thank you, moderator. Actually, we are the same age. I'm the same age with Jotham. He was born 1947. I was born 1947.
But we came to brothers here as little kids who really couldn't, because it was different. There was a bit of distance between their home and ours. But later, in 1959, 12 years old little kids, we came from church schools, different church schools. There was only one primary school in the whole of Corinth, North Kigezi, and it was called Chinyasano. We went together, primary 5, 1959, and then after that we went to junior secondary school 1 and 2. But the picture, Mr. Moderator, is that as young boys, we had no shoes. We were only wearing shorts, and a little shirt overhanging the shorts. And where we were staying on the same hill, the houses were, of course, grass thatched. And because his father, who was in charge of our church at that time, was transferred to a place called Cape Soni, so he had to stay with one of my uncles. And then these two houses were not far from each other. And I remember Jotham would be asked to go and get salt whenever salt ran out of their home. He'd come run to our home and to get salt, or to bring fire in order to make firewood. And equally, I would also be asked to go and get salt whenever it gets finished from our home. And then I would run to the other place to get the salt, or even to fetch fire so that we'll be able to cook. That is the memory I can give you at that time. And of course, we used to go together on foot to Chinyasano, and that is the memory I can give you.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
That's such a crispy image that takes us way back in time. Thank you very much, and a round of applause for him. Now, to you, Mr. Patrick Kabonera, young brother to the author in the house, growing up just a year apart, you're almost twins, and a few months apart. Now, almost as twins, we want to pick the experiences you had. What is that one childhood adventure that you can share that sums up your bond, considering such an age difference?
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Thank you, moderator. It is true that the difference in age between me and Justice Jotham is about 1.5 years. I come immediately after him. And I was actually a bigger boy growing up, bigger than him, and people used to mistake me for being his elder brother. We even used to fight, but he would overpower me in spite of his size. But we grew up together, and we had, of course, this is not to downplay his bigness that we are talking about now. But we had our own escapades when we were young. We lived like any other normal children live. We did things that were not recommended by our parents. And one of the things that I recollect we used to do was to play football. You know, we used to make balls out of banana fibers. We'd make balls, and we had cousins with whom we used to play football, and that we used to play quite a lot, spend a lot of time. Whenever we were sent out to do some chores, would spare some bit of time for football, and that would distract us from our assigned responsibilities. And Jotham was a very good footballer in our group. I recall he used to bounce the ball on his thigh, on his knee, about 50 times. That skill was unparalleled in that group. And I didn't have that skill, so I was relegated to being a goalkeeper. Of course, our attention was distracted from doing certain work, certain jobs. For example, if we were asked to look after cows, they would stray to neighbors' gardens. I recall a certain neighbor's wife coming home and insulting my mother. And of course, you know what would result in the end, big punishment by our parents.
Right.
But there are so many things we did together, but that's what can probably summarize those adventures that we used to do together.
A great childhood, enjoyed indeed. Thank you very much. A round of applause to Mr. Patrick. Now, back to you, Honorable John Nasasera. You've been spotted once in a while at the golf course with Justice Jotham. And so, what are some of those benefits that you would want to share with us regarding the benefit of going down there, outside the corridors of politics and taking it off with, hitting it off with golf? Some of the benefits, yes. Yes. Yeah. As we conclude, yeah.
You know, as I said, I called Jotham was Italian. I don't remember him being very active in many things. He stopped the ball with Kawaniro. Well, I don't remember him playing for the first team at the tennis school. And most games. Actually, he was very good in chess.
Okay.
And Scrabble. He used to play the brainy games.
Right.
But when he retired, then later we used to play tennis together, of course, after Barza. And then when he retired from the judiciary, he started golf. He found me playing already with Patrick and others.
Right.
And you know, by the time you retire from the Supreme Court, you are fairly advanced in age. So it took him a bit of time to get used to the swing and he would play and play. But you see, everything he does when he decides to do something, he does it thoroughly and smoothly. So he continued, and after some time, Jotham started even winning at the golf club.
Right.
And he found there one or two other judges who had also joined. I can see one here. And there are more whom I have seen. But the Lord Chief Justice, these judges, when they play golf, they don't complete it. Golf is 18 holes plus the 19th. Those who play golf understand the 19th hole. But all the judges, when they finish playing, they are not seen at the 19th hole. I don't know whether that's because of your ruling, but we have enjoyed golf together.
Right.
We discuss family, we discuss business, we discuss politics, we discuss casual, we discuss fun, and Jotham now is a seasoned golfer like any other.
Great.
But since this, you say it was the last question and we are concluding.
Yes.
I want to use this opportunity, first of all, to congratulate Jotham for writing a book. I have not seen it, but the 6th year as I have known him, I think this will be a solid book to read, and I can assure you I'm going to read it, and there will be, I think, a lot to learn from this book.
Right.
And it is also a challenge. Some of us also have been in some of these public assignments, and every day they are challenging us to write books. To learn from this and others, and maybe one of these days also to have our own books.
Right.
But congratulations, Jotham.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable John Nasasira. And now I'll come back to you, Mr. Katembwe, as we conclude. Now, looking at away from the childhood moments, now you have grown together, and thank God that we're still with you. Now, when you look back, what is that story that when you think about it, still makes you smile?
Thank you.
For all this time we've been together.
There are many stories that make me smile.
Just one that stands out.
One that stands out is when he was IGG.
Yeah.
I was the head of the NSSF.
Okay.
And I remember there was a big hall with steel standing out, which is the present workers' house. I decided that we should now build the workers' house at the head of NSSF. Convinced the board, but somewhere in the middle I got scared. I rushed to Mr. Zindana, who was the IGG.
Yes.
And I told him, Mr. Zindana, I have convinced the board, but I think along the way, I think we shouldn't build this house. Because people are going to kill me. It's going to be a massive project. Estimation is about $16 million.
Yeah.
And the environment in which I'm operating, I don't think I will be able to live. Mr. Zindana told me, I have seen you for a number of years. Mr. Zindana was senior to me at entire school, but he said, the way I know you, if you don't build this worker's house, nobody will. He gave me so much energy, and I said, let's get on with it. And he did. I started. Along the way, a lot of things happened. It's a long story. But along the way, I decided that the people who had been appointed, alcohol, should be terminated. And they had only finished the superstructure. There was $16 million still untouched.
Right.
But I said, we terminate. I don't know if it's still this story, but the ministers said, you cannot terminate this contract because the stakes are very high.
Right.
I said two choices. Either we terminate or I resign. Long story short, we terminated the contract. Now, when we terminated the contract, a lot of things happened. Eventually, I had to leave the organization. But before I left, there was an inquiry by the IGG. And Jotham happened to be the IGG. Now, I did not expect any favor from Jotham. For one reason, I had known him for many years.
Right.
So I said, this guy, let him tell the whole story until the end. I did tell him the whole story. Meanwhile, I was being eaten alive by other people. But he listened very carefully. I think this point has come out that he's a good listener and he's a fair man. So I told him the story and he wrote the report.
Right.
But the contract was terminated and they had to get another contractor, Rocco, to finish it. At the beginning, right from the beginning, I had wanted Rocco to finish that project.
Right.
But it was not possible. Another company was doing. But later on, as it happened, it was actually Rocco, which I had wanted, which finished the contract. But we wrote that, he wrote the report, and that report is actually the one which saved NSSF. And I'm going to tell you what happened. I left NSSF, I was retired, and I left. His report was in 3 places. It was in the IGG's office. It was in the security office of the NSSF, IGG, NSSF, and I had a copy. Fast forward, Dr. Joseph Yamucha, late, rest in peace, was the lawyer of NSSF, whom I had specifically chosen to be the external lawyer of the NSSF. $16 million was going to be lost because the stakes were very high. However, we looked, Mr. Vyalgava, the MD of NSSF, realized, and Dr. Joseph Yamucha realized, that that report of the IGG is the one which was going to save NSSF. So when the case was going to come up with the Supreme Court, they rushed for that report. The report was nowhere to be found in the IGG's office, it had gone. They went to NSSF, the report was gone. There was only one report. And I had taken that report and hidden it in Tungamo with my farm. Now, one day the Algaba called me and said, "Where are you?" I said, "I'm raising my cows." He said, "We need the IGG report." I said, "No, you go to NSSF, they have the report."
Right.
He said, "We don't have it." Go to your security registry. He said, "There is no report." So I said, "But me, I'm retired and I'm on my farm, I'm not interested. I have the report, it's my copy." He begged me and said, "Please." Dr. Joseph Yamucha called me and said, "If you don't have that report, we are finished. We are going to win the case." So I drove from Tungamo. They gave me fuel. They put me up at the Serena. I did the photocopy in communications house. I made sure that they kept Tumwesigye's report in my security kept. Then I gave them that copy. It is that copy, it is that report that Jotham wrote that saved NSSF $16 million.
Wow. Round of applause. And beyond the smile, I think those two stories are chapters, if not books, to be written. Right. Now, as we conclude, I'll get back to you, Mr. Patrick Cabonero. From childhood to national leadership, you have watched your brother grow through the ranks. Now, which one would be that quality that you have seen, that you saw early in life, that has stuck with him, that has not changed, no matter the raising in the ranks and the responsibilities that he has gotten this far?
Thank you very much, Director. I think a number of people who have spoken have hinted on this. The one quality that he has many qualities, but since you have asked for one, I will single out one.
Yes.
And the one very good quality that I've seen all his life, well, mature life, from say school life,
yes,
up to now, he's being principled. He's a very, very principled man. And I started noticing this way back when we were young boys in secondary school. We shared a room. There was attendance at Tare school. If you found your brother in the school, they would put you together in one room. So I joined the room where he was staying,
right?
And we were together. Of course, under the mistaken belief that your brother would look after you, which was not always the case. Other people, you would get other friends, and other people would look after you, and we lived our own lives at school. But I recall an incident, one incident.
Yeah.
Of course, we always did things together. We shared things. We came from the same home. We were close in that room. But I recall one incident when Jotham got involved in an argument, an intellectual argument with an older boy. And the old boy seemed to have lost that argument.
Right.
And he wanted to resort to fighting. He said, if you continue talking like that, I will beat you. And I was getting concerned myself that my brother was going to be beaten because the other brother was bigger. Okay. And Jotham, who usually was a very peaceful person, told this fellow and said, you know, people who can't argue, people with small brains, always resort to violence. And he may not recollect it, but for me it stuck in my mind.
Yeah.
And when he said that, the other big boy was disarmed, and everybody laughed at him, and he went out in shame. But he said that Jotham said that to this big boy, and he was usually a peaceful man. He stuck to his principle.
Right.
He wanted to insist on what he thought was right, and regardless of what would happen to him, he stuck to it. So you can see how principled he was, and he still is principled up to now.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, these have been friends, our friends, and so a round of applause to them. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much for those insects, and God bless you.
We want to thank you so much for your patience. We appreciate you. And right about now, we have a few more remarks, and then we will have the remarks by the author and of course our guest of honor. But right now, allow me to invite the Right Honorable Ruhakana Rugunda to come and give us a few remarks like our other friends in 5 minutes, and then we shall proceed. Thank you so much, Right Honorable.
The Chief Justice of Uganda, the author of this book, My Life Through the Changing Times, Jotham Tumwesigye, distinguished brothers and sisters. I'm happy that I've been given this opportunity to make a couple of remarks about Jotham's works. I've not read the book, so I have not taken a comment on it. But I first interacted with Jotham when we were students at Makerere University. I think it was a couple of years ahead of him, but because of the medical school having a longer period, I was able to spend some reasonable time with him. We got attracted to each other fairly fast, although he was in the law school and I was at Mulago, because our views were fairly close to each other's views. And it's true, we were active in the student movement. And as we were warming up in 1971 January, Idi Amin came and captured the power. When Idi Amin captured the power, in general, the students were a bit divided, but I think the dominant line was not to give support to Idi Amin. So the National Union of Students of Uganda, which I happened to lead at that time, and Makerere Students Guild, which was led by a number of colleagues, Musilu Mutebile and Ngoraro Tunu and others, decided to say no to Idi Amin, and Idi Amin wanted support from the students community. So what did Idi Amin do? He said he was going to be traveling with the students whenever he visits different parts of the country, or if he goes out of the country, hoping that this would entice the student community to support him. Fortunately, the students community remained resolute. But of course, it was difficult for the students to sustain this. Idi Amin banned the National Union of Students of Uganda, and eventually Makerere Students Guild literally closed because Musilu Mutebile, who was the president around that time, had fled the country, and Ngoraro Tunu, who had just been elected with overwhelming mandate, had also fled the country, and quite a number of others. So Jotham left Makerere, and eventually we were not in close, but we had some kind of remote contact. We knew that all of us supported, opposed Idi Amin. After the liberation, the move of Idi Amin, we met in Kampala. He was one of those who were active in the Uganda patriotic movement. But a lot of closeness developed after the capture of power by the National Resistance Movement in 1986, because he held a number of positions which I was interacting with, and I must say he performed very well in those positions. What do I mean? When he became the Deputy National Political Commissar, at that time Buria Kategaya was the National Political Commissar, he brought credibility and cohesion within the movement. When he moved the office of the Inspector General of Government, IGG, an office that had been started by Nduku Ruzindana, and Augustine Ruzindana raised the profile of that office and increased a lot of respectability for that office. Jotham Tumwesigye maintained and consolidated that position. My sister Miriam Atenda indicated, I hope I didn't get you wrongly, that people in the cabinet were opposed to Jotham Tumwesigye, but she was the only one. Something close to that. Fighting for that office. My own memory has a different version.
You were not the minister for ethics and you were fighting that.
So, the last comment is that Jotham is a great patriot, is a Pan-African, and he believes in the equality of humanity. If we do that, we are patriots, we are Pan-Africans, and we are humanists. The world is a better world. Thank you.
Wow, really nothing much to add to such beautiful words. So right about time when we get to hear what the main man has to tell us about, briefly. Of course, he has written the book, which is very clear, and all of us are going to read. But maybe to hear a word or two from himself. And so I welcome you, Justice Jotham, to come and give us your remarks as the author.
My Lord, the Chief Justice, Alphonse Wigloro, my Lord, the Deputy Chief Justice, Zaisha, my Lords, Justice of the Supreme Court, Robert Liu, and High Court, and Magistrates Court, Honorable Ministers, Right Honorable I am honored that you have come to attend this function. I don't know whether we have top military officers. I think I saw about top military officers. Thank you very much for coming. I'm very, very much honored. Members of Parliament, I don't know whether there are members of Parliament here. Friends, distinguished friends, ladies and gentlemen. After so many compliments and praises have been showered upon me, I really don't know what to say. But I am honored and very, very gratified that we found so many good things here. But I thank God. I thank God who has enabled me to reach this point in time. I say this intentionally because many of my colleagues, those who are in the secondary school with me, in the university with me, in workplaces, they are no longer here. So I thank God that He has helped me up to this point. The writing of this book was not a simple matter. Writing a book is not simple. You have really to be highly motivated. Highly motivated. I think it is this motivation that sometimes is missing in many of us. Because there are so many distractions which will take you away from writing. And if you are a judge, like I was, and you have timelines which you must complete your judgments, you give priority to judgments and not writing books. And therefore it's not surprising that many judges will not write books until they have retired. And when I retired was when I embarked on writing this book. I started the idea started, writing this book started many years ago. There was a young lady who came to my chambers and said, I've come to help you to write a book. I think she's called Mercy. And then we started. But it was fits and starts. Eventually, we stopped. We didn't go further. But when I retired, I attended the function of my friend, Jane Kadoka, and I found there Frank Kamshenga. So I linked with Frank Kamshenga and we embarked on this book. And I would like to thank Frank Kamshenga so much for writing of this book and publishing it.
I really owe you eternal gratitude. I don't want to talk much about the book, because you are going to read it. If I talk much about the book, you will not read it. So I'm not going to talk much about the book. But I want to make a few corrections. Someone said I'm a Nyankore. I'm not a Nyankore. I am a Mkororo. I was born in Rukungiri. And we Mahororo are very proud. We are very, very proud of being Mahororo. So, don't make me a Nyankore. I am a Mahororo. I came to a place to have freedom of movement in Uganda. The kingdom of Mpororo was very, very powerful in the old days. It was very, very powerful, but it was closely linked to Angore. And the king of Mpororo actually, his daughter was married to the priest of Angore. So the two kingdoms were very, very close. And we speak the same language. And the social patterns are the same. Actually, sometimes I wonder why these two kingdoms lived apart. They should have been one. But there is no difference whatsoever. But we are still proud of being Mahororo. And we don't want to be called Nyankore. Yes. Another point which I want to clarify is that to me, the East African revival is critical in my life. If my parents had not embraced the East African revival, I would not be here. Both my parents, my father, my mother, embraced East African revival even before they got married to each other. And that was actually the reason why they married. Because both of them were very, very, very strong Baroque. So, I cannot express the depth of my gratitude to the East African revival. I am. My father and mother sacrificed everything they had, and not only for me, but also for my siblings. And when I went to Makerere, as someone said, we were getting a lot of money called boom. And many students enjoyed themselves on boom. But I remembered where I came from, and I sent my father money to educate the younger siblings. So, I am very, very happy that I have come this far because my father and my mother became Baroque. They were very dedicated Baroque. I couldn't cope with their prayers because they were praying all the time. And we young people sometimes we get tired of praying all the time. I couldn't cope. Sometimes we wanted to run away and start playing football. But they said, you must pray, you must pray. And one thing that I also got from East African Revival Movement was music. I love Baroque music. And my wife, Rose, she loves Baroque music. So at home we're always singing Baroque music. Together. This is one of the things that strengthens our bond. Singing East African revival songs. Sometimes they are in Nyankore, sometimes they are in English, but we love them very, very, very much. My ancestry, my clan is called Abashambo. But Abashambo, they are also scattered in different parts of Western Uganda and Northern Tanzania and even Rwanda. So it is a very big clan. But because it is a big clan, there are many sub-clans. And my sub-clan is called Abanyamgamba. So, if I had not been so devoted to service of society, I don't think I would even have become a lawyer. I don't think I would have. I don't know. I would probably not have finished my university. I would have been diverted to so many other things. But because my life has been dedicated to serving people, serving society, serving the country, that's where my life goes. And it still goes there. I haven't changed. I went to Makerere University and I met there Olara, who was a wonderful person, very highly respected. He was in my law class. And there were other very illustrious students doing law with us. But Olarotuno was completely different. First of all, Olarotuno is an orator. I remember when we were in our class and Olarotuno didn't have any contribution to make, the lecturer would say, Olarotuno, speak, because he wanted to hear his voice. And he spoke eloquently. And I was very much honored when he appointed me to be his vice president. But I never applied to be vice president. He just picked me and appointed me to be vice president. And from that time, we have been very close. He has held many distinguished positions, not only in Uganda, but also outside Uganda. United Nations Under Secretary, Children. I don't want to go through all the positions, but he's highly respected as a person. He's also principal. And I think his parents were also Barokore. I think they were also Barokore. And that's why he gets his fire from his parents who were Barokore. At the Makerere University, that's why I found Ndugu Hakana. Hakana Gunda, I had known him long before I came to Makerere University. He was the central person for Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism. If you want to talk about Pan-Africanism, then you talk about Hakana. He was head of NUSU, and NUSU was associated with the government of Milton Obote, which was false, which was not true. Because NUSU was independent, it was Pan-Africanist, and they pursued that line until most of them fled the country to live outside. So they were not supporting Obote, they were not supporting either. They were supporting the correct line of Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism seeks to unite Africa. Pan-Africanism seeks equality among the people. Pan-Africanism seeks to bring all the people together, whether rich or poor. Pan-Africanism is still going on today, but I think it has lost its fire. I don't know why, I think it has lost. But during that time, it was very, very strong. Pan-Africanism was very strong. When I was a Pan-Africanist, I was a Pan-Africanist. Olarotuno would send me in so many countries to represent the guild, and I would go there. To represent the guild. And so, Makerere was the body port for Pan-Africanism. And until Amin abolished NUSU and abolished the Students' Guild, who were actually very, very strong as students in the politics of Pan-Africanism and liberation of Africa from the domination and oppression by imperialist powers. I don't want to go very far in talking. I want now to talk about my retirement. I retired about 5 years ago, I think, or 6, I don't know. I retired at the end of 2019. How many years ago? December 2019. And I was very happy to retire. I was very, very happy to retire. I didn't want to continue. I had been given 2 years contract after my retirement, my formal contract, my formal tenure as the Justice of the Supreme Court. They gave me another 2 years, which was very long. And I finished it and I was very happy when I applied. Sometimes we don't want to retire so that we continue getting these small money. Because we feel that if we retire and leave service, then we're going to be poor. But these days, I mean, before I retired, I spearheaded the enactment of the Judiciary Administration Act. I spearheaded it because I was the chairperson of terms and conditions of service for judicial officers. But she always kept telling me that she's fighting wars on behalf of the IGP. I didn't know what wars she was fighting. She knows better. I think she was. But what I remember, we made 2 acts of parliament: the Inspectorate of Government Act and the Leadership Board Act. And we really fought very, very hard to make sure that these 2 acts are enacted, and they were successfully enacted. So, I don't want to say that Ndugunda's position and Honorable Matinu's position are in conflict. I don't know, because I wasn't there. But I think maybe because if Cabinet had passed the bills. Yes, so I want to thank all friends who are opportunity to talk and who talk very well about me. I want to thank my family. My family has been steadfast in supporting me. We saw Rose speak. We saw my children speak. They really support me and they love me also. They love me. So I would like to thank my family, and I mentioned the publisher, Frank Kaushenga and FK, who published this book. I would like to thank those who will buy this book and read it. And I would like to be, in this regard, I would like to inspire you, people who are here, to write books. Because as I said at the beginning of the, at the beginning of the book, I said, anybody, big or small, regardless of status, can write a book and people will read it. So don't say I'm not big enough to write a book. Anybody can write a book. And I would encourage you to write books, so that we give all the necessary wisdom to those who will follow. I would like to thank you very much for taking out your time to come here. You have really, really honored me with your presence. I never expected that I would see a galaxy of facilities from the Chief Justice to former ministers, some Prime Minister, former Prime Minister, Deputy Chief Justice, former ministers, military men. Thank you so much for blessing this occasion, for honoring this occasion, and God bless you. Thank you.
Allow me at this particular moment to take the honor to invite our guest of honor, our Honorable Chief Justice, who will come and give us his remarks, and thereafter also proceed and officially launch the book. So, Our Chief Justice, you're very welcome.
My Lord, the Deputy Chief Justice of Uganda, my Lords, various courts of judicature, all judicial officers, Right Honorable Prime Minister, eminent Ugandans who are gathered here today in your several capacities. My brother Jotham family, you being the reason we're here this afternoon in the evening, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Two things that cropped up here. I would like to seize the opportunity to join issues with a couple of people here. We witnessed the clash of two proud schools here, Udo and Tare. I'll give you an experience. I didn't go to Ghana, our headmaster studied there. May he rest in peace. Udo had, and I think still has, a tradition of inviting public speakers. When they came, it's during our time, and they always be full capacity. So one such weekend, our guest was a banker. He was as a banker. I think he told me that fiscal policy didn't make much sense. I was didn't make much sense at that time of me. Then the vote of thanks was given by the headmaster himself. He was the teacher. That this is one of those fellows who made it to the top without having confidence. Pride bordering on arrogance. So this gentleman stands up and says, Mr. Chandler, I didn't have to come with you. Tare was equally good. Many years later, I was in cabinet with this gentleman. He was Minister of Trade and Industry. Sir Richard Kinjoka. I hope he remembers this incident. Then again, hearing my elder brother, and our pastor speak about Abraham, I have good reason to thank him and other things. Thank you to ask me how much. Because I'm seizing this opportunity to recruit me now that by his own disclosure, you have a hold on him. He relies on you. That has not waned yet. Please bear on my I have pleaded with him, I've cajoled him, non-committal. Please, if there's anything else, if there's only one other thing you should do for this country, persuade us to do what you just done. I also want to confirm to you Ambassador Naruto and I are engaged, very deeply engaged in a revival movement. I hold this back for me. This woman, I'm a carrier if you wish. For the revival everything you say about you is more than 100% true. So when you ask me to come and launch your book, it's a great privilege. I didn't know you before. You recall, we met in 1988, you speak about it. There were 3 waves of rebellion in the Chole Supreme. The one that broke out in 1986. I have called it the popular revolt. The popular rebellion. Where there was mobilization, there was good reason. After that, the LRA or rebellion took over and looked at it. So that's when we first met Justice. Then when there was IGG, our state minister for Northern, some very high-ranking public servants has all the funds are really typical abuse of office. And national went to him. He thanked me for it. I know these fellows who are prosecuted. Because when it came to that kind of discipline, he will not be compromised. I know the fact. Then I met him later. We did not sit in the same board because he was in the board. He was in the high board. Then Deputy Chief Justice. When he retired, I was Deputy Chief Justice. Everything that you say about him is true. He's speaking like broken record, those things, saying really what you're saying. When we launched the book for my predecessor, immediate predecessor in the Office of Chief Justice, Ambassador Naruto describes that someone sees in the attribute of being DFK. He called it judicial temperament. I think you were describing, and we have 7 good. Instead of saying Honorable Matemba's won and he lost despite the other 3 good things, that was the typical African justice system, which we are not promoting. So if there's one thing which my brothers asking me to speak on this function about it, that occurred to me, that we a lot more. It is incumbent on us. We do not have another country with a lot more Nobody owns Uganda more than the elder. Chief Justice does not own Uganda more than the peasant in Uganda. No. We own Uganda in equal loyalty. And we're much stronger. And when you read this book, when you read Kafrebe's book, when you read all these other people, because it's a crop of people who went to school barefoot. Because we are now fading our way. I don't know who will be the next Chief Justice. He may not have, he or she may not have foot into school barefoot. Might have been people who study at Nakasero, I don't know. But you can understand the peasantry. And Madam Jotham, why some of us are successful? I use the word successful. The Lord has smiled on that one. We have served at very, very high positions. It's because we are children of peasants. And those peasants were never corrupt. And the Lord has blessed them through us. I don't know how many of us can say they are children. We have the same blessing. Like children of the peasants, children of villagers. So I said, you wrote in my book, you have my stories to share us. I am grateful to share mine with you. I think we told you about this. There's what Chino and Jebe says in this book, the reason why we come together, not to eat, not to drink, not to look at the moonlight, because all these things I can do from my house. Even I can have Kampala Club in my house, everything I get in Kampala Club I can have in my house. We come together because of fellowship. We come together so that we benefit from each other, we benefit others with what we have, and we make for a better society. That's why even I was throwing out this challenge that we need a forum where we talk about our country. Not with political partisan, no. Yes, it is our country. We speak about our country. Alex, thank you for writing this book. Dinah Maria Bullock lived from 1826 to 1887, and English author, writer and author, made this remark, open quote. An author departs, he does not die. He, there like in the Bible, is gender free, refers to both gender. He has put his views, put ink on paper for us to know what it is that compelled him, what do we learn from him, how do we get inspired. And then because of this book, you will never die, because you will always read this book. You know, there was once, 1,000 years from now, there was once in Jotham Tumwesigye, whose accolade includes having been judge of the apex court of this country.
So at this moment, I would like to call upon Frank, who is going to lead us through the action launch activity, and that is with the family, with the author, and of course the publisher. Please, Frank, run to the front.
At the count of 3, 2, 1, 0.
byonna byogera kunsomesa. Byonna byogera kunsomesa nawe siri mu ssomero. If it's a mistake, it's a mistake.